Hey guys, welcome to the first ever episode of Camp Conversations. I'm your host, Chelsea Bresnahan, and our first guest is a veteran, a preacher, and the executive director of Camp Freedom, Matt Guedes.
Hey, thank you for having me on board. I appreciate it. I'm excited about it.
Good.
I'm most excited about having you here.
Oh, well, thank you.
I am. I've watched you and kind of your career, your career in the news area, the news media area, your social influence. But here's what I love about you attached to Camp Freedom. You've done everything with integrity, with character, with honesty, and now you've brought that to this mission. And I'm so thankful that you're a part of the
Well,
team.
thank you. I'm happy to be here. I couldn't think of a more worthy cause to get behind and be a part of. And I'm grateful that you guys are giving me the creative freedom to come here in yoga pants and chat with people.
New studio, your new studio.
Great new studio.
Yeah, so this
here
is
in the
great.
basement of the lodge.
It's good.
Now, to give people a little bit about a background about you, did you find Camp Freedom or did Camp Freedom find you? Start in the beginning.
Yeah, so great story. Camp Freedom only exists. It always comes back to the beginning because of Bill and Laura Bockenberg. Bill and Laura are such great people, such generous people. I mean, Laura will never speak about her military career, but she's a retired Air Force colonel, incredible background in the military. Bill has done so many magnificent things in life. They had purchased this property, and my best friend growing up, Jaime Mendez, introduced me to Bill at a dinner and said, "You guys need to meet. You need to talk about hunting." Like that's what Jaime was thinking the nexus was. It was hunting. And we're talking about hunting. And Bill mentioned to me in that first conversation that he had just purchased this property and wanted to do something for individuals with disabilities. That was his focus. That was his goal. They already do an incredible job down at Lehigh Valley Sporting Clays with individuals with disabilities. So we're talking and I'm listening to this. I'm living in Colorado. I'm from here, but I'm living in Colorado. I just flew in for, a family gathering. We're at dinner, we're talking, and I'm listening. I'm thinking that's pretty unique. That's pretty special. So over the next 2 years, every time I came in, we'd sit down and talk, go to dinner, go to lunch, do something. And Bill kept talking about this property. Never in a million years did I ever want to come back east. I love the West. I love Colorado. I was like, I'm not coming back. My family, my kids were in like ninth grade, eighth grade, seventh grade. And so they're thinking about, athletics and the things they're involved in. My dad's a 40-year football coach. And all of a sudden my son says, I want to play football for Pop-Up. And I'm like, yeah.
And he was coaching out west.
He was coaching here.
Oh.
We're living in Colorado.
Oh.
I'm coaching there. My dad's here. And my son Taco is like, I want to play back there. And so we worked it out and he came back and the church I was pastoring gave me a sabbatical for 10 weeks to come back. Well, while we're here, now my girls love Pennsylvania and they love the athletics and we were 45 minutes from a grocery store. Now they're in a community, so it was just different and it was awesome. And so I called Bill and I said, Bill, some things are changing in my life. How serious are you about, this deal up here at the property you own? And he's like, I'm serious, but I'll never get it done because he's so busy in everything he does.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I'll never get it done. And I said, well, if you'll make it about veterans and first responders, I'm in. And he literally said, when do you want to start? That was the conversation. And I said, this was in late May of 2017. And I said, what about January 1st? I've got to sell a home. I've got to move.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got to move. I've got to do all this stuff. And he said, let's do it. And that was the start point. That was how it all started.
That's funny that you say 2017. That's the year I moved back to NUPA.
And where were you before that?
I was in Pittsburgh.
Really?
So, my mother's from South Wilkes-Barre. She's the youngest of 5. All of my family lived here on her side of the family, except us. But we moved around a lot. My mother was one of the first women to work on the assembly line at Procter & Gamble.
Oh, wow.
And so my father came in as an engineer from New York, and that's where they met. And then in the 70s, you couldn't, have work relationships. And they're like, well, you're not getting a promotion. He's like, well, I just graduated with a degree. I'm not going to stay here in an entry-level position my whole life.
Right.
So they had to leave. So they moved out to Chicago, and my parents lived in Chicago, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Ohio, Maryland, Harrisburg, and then had my older sister and me and my twin brother. And then we were living in Harrisburg. My brother and I both went to Pitt for college. My parents split up. My mom came back home. And so that's how I ended up here after graduating from Pittsburgh, trying to make ends meet, having all these random jobs in Pittsburgh, in media, in the film, television and film industry, marketing, promotions, everything.
So that brought you back
So
here
that brought me back here. My
May
mom,
May timeframe,
it
right
was,
after you graduated?
it was, no, it was 4 years after I graduated.
Okay.
And it was like the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Wow.
My mom, I mean, I was getting to a point where I had all these part-time jobs and no health insurance because you get off your parents' health insurance at 26, 27. And my mom was watching TV. I mean, you know how much the news is ingrained into the culture here.
Sure.
And she was like, why can't you just do what these people are doing? And I said, well, I can try. So I applied and told them I'd work the weekends. And that started my career in journalism. I had a degree in theater and marketing. I never thought I'd be a newscaster.
And that's how you ended up
Yeah.
at WNEP. Was that the
Right.
start point?
That was my first job in news.
Really?
Yep.
And then how many years did you run there?
7.5.
Wow.
Almost. Yep. So, and that's how I found you guys, was
Yeah.
through a segment I had there, Check It Out with Chelsea, where I was strapping myself with GoPros and lugging cameras around and just showing people all the fun things to do here. Because like you said, you never wanted to move out east. Now that I live here permanently, I mean, we always
Right.
came here summer, vacations, holidays. We would come up every other weekend when we lived in Harrisburg because this is where our family and our
Sure.
cousins were. And
Sure.
that's who we spent a lot of our time with, because when you move around so much, you rely on that family connection. You don't necessarily have those friendships that are that strong. I love living here.
Yeah.
And there's, especially after living in a city, I almost feel like being here gives you so much freedom. Like I can get in my car and go here, go there. Whereas when you're in a city, you are like
Right.
totally, your ability to move is totally dependent on public transit hiccups or traffic or events going on beyond your control. And here it's like, the back roads,
Yeah. You can get
it's
anywhere.
freedom.
And really, we can be from right here, we can be anywhere in
Anywhere.
4 hours or less. I mean, anywhere significant.
Right.
I mean, really, and I do love it. And people ask me now, well, are you staying? First of all, the love of what we do, and I say we now, the love of what we do serving these true American heroes it's priceless. Like there's nothing that will ever replace what we do now. And so for me, I view this as my run. This is my final run. I'm getting older in life and I don't ever plan really on retiring. It's just not how I'm bent. So for me, this is my final run. Like I want to run this, and be here. And I do love the Northeast now. And it's just phenomenal. But I didn't want to be in the Northeast. Like I did not want to come back. The West fits all of my passions perfectly. But now that I'm here, couldn't do anything to change it.
So what are those passions?
I mean, if you want to hunt and do outdoor activities, I mean, from biking to skiing to hiking to everything I love is in the West.
And
I
is that
mean,
just because it's less congested?
yeah. I lived in a town that was 45 minutes literally from a grocery store. There were 200 people. I had a ski area in my backyard. I had endless BLM property. I'm talking thousands and thousands of acres. And I would go out and spend 11, 12 hours in a day out there hiking or hunting and not see a person. I mean, it is really, really vast.
Wow.
And I love it. Like I loved it was a great place to raise kids. But I'm glad we're here now. Like I'm really glad that the Lord orchestrated all this to bring us back to where we are. It's good.
And some people might feel like, oh, Carbondale or outside Carbondale,
Yeah.
Lackawanna County, that's the sticks.
Yeah. Oh, I hear it all the
But
time.
hey, you've never,
You don't
until
know
you
the
live out
sticks.
west, you don't
Yeah.
know the sticks.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is true. I remember when you showed up here to do one of your segments, and then watching you do that over and over and over again, I was like, you understand what's happening here. Like I knew you understood the depth of what was happening here because of how you covered it and because of how you talked about it. And so when you were no longer at WNEP, I was like, man, I wonder. And then I forget where we were having a conversation. Oh, I remember. We were with George Stark.
Oh, okay.
And was Bill there too?
Oh,
DeRozier,
yeah.
was he there?
And you guys sat me down and you had this like
Yeah,
story
yeah.
about purpose. You had this conversation with me about purpose,
Purpose, mission.
legacy,
Yep.
like
Yep.
we don't know. You said we don't know what you're looking for, but you can probably find it here.
Yeah, yeah, and you have, and it's only gonna get better. Like, I think of the people that you're gonna be interviewing and the things that I already know you're going to hear and the stories that you're gonna hear, and it's this crazy mix between heartbreak because you're gonna hear stories of trauma and struggling with transitioning out of military or law enforcement. So there's this mix of emotion that is heartbreaking, but then we get to see the victory also. We get to see these men and women who live with honor and integrity and character, but have faced really difficult things in life. We get to watch them soar again. We get to watch them find victory and mission and purpose and hope again. And so you start with heartbreak, but in most cases, it's not all. In most cases, it ends in this massive victory.
Yeah. And that's interesting that you say that. I had a executive producer that when I started working at for the news station, he would always, you have a minute and a half or a minute and 20 seconds to tell a story, and you kind of start with the problem or start with the tragedy or the heartbreak, and you always try to end on a high note.
Right. Right.
So that's funny. But now we have a much longer time frame
Yeah, yeah.
that we're working
It's
with.
your
So
time
that's
frame
exciting.
now. Now it's yours.
Yeah, you just sit here. Well,
Yep.
I was saying to Jamie, who's here at Camp Freedom, I was saying, you know what? It's been a rough couple of days. I'm excited to escape to my cave here.
But that's the viewpoint. When you drive in that very bumpy, rocky, pothole-filled road
Right.
coming into camp, there is a sense and a feeling of I am in the middle of nowhere. And
Yeah.
I'm secure, I'm safe. And once you feel safe, once you feel secure, once you feel that load just get unloaded, like it's just refreshing. Like I always say, I have the best job in the world.
Yeah.
I do. I get to come to this great ground, 2,350 pristine acres in Northeast Pennsylvania with two ponds, with 2.5 miles of riverfront, with a mountaintop, with a river bottom. I get to come here. And then on top of it, that's enough right there. But then I get to serve these true American heroes. And that word hero is thrown around like way too much today. You hear heroes, music stars, athletes, people on the screen, people on the TV, hero, hero, hero. To me, a hero is defined as anybody who chooses to sign a dotted line and run towards danger, not away from it, towards it. So that's our firemen and women. That's our police force. That's our EMT, EMS. That's
Mhm.
our officers that serve in the correctional systems. That's our 911 call centers, and then it's all of our military. To me, that's a hero.
Right. And then the families that support them too.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. And that is where we watch success take place. Our hero, who's gone through trauma or has gone through transitional issues getting out of the military, our hero is in a struggle. But the family's in the same struggle, well, often with a very different perspective. They've gone through the same trauma with that hero, but it's from a different
Sure.
perspective. And if we can get them united around an outdoor adventure that becomes missional, that becomes really purposeful for them, healing takes place every time.
I mean, I was talking to a mother this week who's like, I can't really talk about it, but I have a son who's deployed right now
Yeah.
in a place where something's going on right now.
Yeah.
And she's like, he was able to call us and he had unlimited time. So that means he's probably on his way to a mission.
Yeah.
And all I could do was give her a hug and my phone number. Call me if you need me. You know, um, eh, but what tears her apart is that it's so polarizing. And she's
Sure.
like, just raise your flag. Like
Yeah.
all I want people to do is raise their flag and be proud to be American and support our troops that are over there.
Yeah. And to me, that is so simple. What you just said is so simple. And that's what it should be.
Yeah.
I look at the post 9/11 event. And I look at our country, in that year after that most horrific event in history, I look at our country and we united. Like we were tight as a country.
Yeah.
All of the political nonsense around it went away. Like it went away. And everybody was America first. When I look at what's going on today, I'm like, we are doing these incredible things. Our military, regardless of whether you agree or disagree,
Right.
like or don't like, how can we not just raise a flag and say, this is America?
Wow.
I'm in. I'm supporting no matter what. And it drives me crazy, honestly, because I'm just like, how can't you just put America first in your mentality. This is not about politics. What's going on in our world today is not about politics. It's not about what our opinions are. It's not even about our preferences. This is about really freedom in the world right now. And I just, it bothers me so much when people go right to the attack mode on this stuff rather than saying, hey, let's raise our flag. I love that statement you use. That's why I'm using it. Let's raise our flag and just support. And for that mom, she's going through right now a traumatic experience because she doesn't know. She likely will have no contact.
Right.
She knows he's in danger's way. Wherever he is, he's in danger's way. And she is going to struggle through whatever he goes through the same way he does, but her perspective is different. He's there on the ground. She's here, and it's just different. So when we can get them united in healing, man, is it awesome.
And so that's a huge part of what happens here at camp.
Yeah,
So
massive.
camp's been going on since 2017.
Yeah. Well, 2018, January
2018.
1st. So we
Oh,
got we
okay.
got the vision and the direction in June, early June of 2017. We launched January 1st of 2018. And I remember walking in this building for the first time, and it was kind of in disarray. It hadn't been taken care of.
Was this a nudist camp? I heard that recently.
No, actually, that's up over the hill.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
up over the hill. That's a different camp, very close. It actually almost, there's one property between us and them. So this was not.
I just needed to know if people were going to show up here looking for a party that I
No,
can't
it's not
partake in.
happening. You'll be okay. You'll be all right.
Okay.
But this ground was owned actually by a local physician. And long story short is Bill ended up buying this property. The original piece was 1,792 acres. And then since then we bought 505 more acres. So it's 2,350 essentially that we
Wow.
have. And yeah, it started 2018. We started taking guests. We started January 1st. We renovated this building.
Okay.
With
We
myself.
call this the lodge.
The lodge, yeah. Myself, Kelly, and one other individual. We renovated this building, physically did all the work. And then we started working on the grounds. And then I was like, we got to bring guests. It's time to bring guests. And the board was small at that time. And they're like, are we ready? And I was just thinking, are you ever really ready? Here's what I know. We know how to love people. We know how to honor people. We know how to value people. And that became our mantra. We're going to love everyone because I'm amazed. Kelly and I talk about it all the time, is how many people are in this world that are unloved. I'm so thankful for my life that I have people that I know love me. But when you're in this realm that we're in this world, I find so many people who don't know they're loved. So we're going to love people. And I know that sounds corny and it's
Especially when we're supposed to be tough here.
Right,
We
right.
have guns or we're shooting
Yeah.
animals or going on hikes in the range, but we're going to love you.
But we are, and we're going to love you. And then we're going to honor you, even if you've made less than honorable decisions. Because trauma impacts people. It
Mhm.
affects people. And sometimes as we spiral, we find ourselves making less than honorable choices. But remember, every man and woman that comes here started with a choice of honor. They started with a decision of honor to sign that dotted line. And so they're honorable at their core. So even if they've made less than honorable decisions, we're still going to honor them. And then we're going to value them and teach them that there is value in their life post service. And that's hard for our men and women to grasp.
Right. It's a sense of purpose.
It is. It is. Yeah, that's what happens. That's the outcome of what happens here is mission, purpose, and hope. Our men and women find mission, they find purpose, they find hope. If we live hopeless, if you and I isolate, which is the great enemy of mankind, if we isolate, if you add in drugs and or alcohol, you will always find yourself in a desperate situation. It's just the reality of that's the pattern where we intervene, where we step in.
And I mean, no matter what you're doing, a big change in your life, you might have that identity crisis, that shift of purpose that's going to be difficult. But then you toss in the high stakes of the situations. I
Yeah.
mean, these are men and women who are at the highest level of danger and stakes and what's on the line here. And then to go from being up here to coming home and being like, okay, my biggest concern today is what I'm getting at the grocery store today.
Yeah.
And that change, while, that's nice, that's comfortable, but there is like a disconnect and a cognitive dissonance there that you have to manage.
Yeah, your next interview is going to be with Colonel Tom Yeager. And I'll never forget a statement Tom made to me. And I don't know if he'll make it when you're talking, but I'll never forget it. And it's exactly what you're talking about. He said to me, I went from doing combat missions, 324 combat missions. I got out instantly. It's in a moment. I'm out. I'm done. And he said, and then I'm flying for a commercial airline, and my biggest worry is if I'm going to spill somebody's coffee. That was what he said to me. And he said, it just felt empty.
Yeah.
It just felt purposeless. It's not. But once you've done this, this feels not normal. Your norm is here. This feels abnormal. And it becomes really hard for people to transition from something of what is sensed to be this incredible and is this incredible important mission to a mission that doesn't always feel that way. And the reality is we're never going to replace that in our post-service world. You're not going to find that same thing. So what we do is we help our men and women shift focus to mission, purpose, and hope that is really meaningful without some of those levels of just, difficulty and I don't even know what to call it, just without some of that high level scenarios. You're never going to be
Yeah.
in that again. So you've got to learn to live with a different mission that is just as meaningful, even though it doesn't have everything that comes with this level of service.
And so there's a lot to do here at camp.
Well,
It's
there's a
more
ton.
than just hunting,
Yeah.
or camping.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. When we started, in my mindset, the outdoor activity, what we called it in the beginning, the outdoor activity was central.
Mhm.
What I've learned, and I knew it then, but now seeing 8 years of 18,000 plus guests, 4,000 guests last year, like I'm blown away by that, and that's disabled veterans, disabled first responders, their family members, Gold Star and Gold Shield families. Um, 18,000 plus guests from 48 states. That's what's happened here.
If you know anybody from South Dakota,
Yeah, yeah,
we're looking for
yeah,
you.
yeah. We need a guest from South Dakota and one from
And
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yep, and one from
Okay.
Hawaii. You're right. That's good.
And
But
then
what
our map with all the little dots will be
it's
complete. I love
complete. 50
maps. I love
states.
lists.
50 states. But when I look at, from that first year to where we've come, what I look at is not the activity. It's not the hunt I've been on. I remember that. It's not the hike we went on. I remember that. It's not the run we went on. I remember that. It's not the shoot we did. I remember it. It's the individual.
Yeah.
It's the relationships. And so what happens is during the activity, peer-to-peer interactions taking place. And it shifts to camaraderie the moment that hero chooses to trust. Once they choose to trust us, the door just opens up, and we never ask our heroes when they come here, hey, tell us about your trauma. Tell us about what like
Right.
that's our staff knows. That is never a question. That's not what we ask. It's not what we do. If they're coming for a hunt, we're going to give you a world-class hunt. If you're coming for a biathlon, you're going to participate in world-class biathlon. If you're coming to shoot, you're going to have world-class shooting. If they choose to share, that's up to them. And then we're prepared to help and with whatever comes up. Our staff is really prepared. But we never ask those questions. We just give high level experiences, but it's the relationships that change lives. No question about it.
And also that's something that I think is unique is a lot of your volunteers have similar experiences.
Yeah.
And I've even witnessed on a fishing trip, you just pair somebody who has a recent trauma from a crazy um, crime scene,
Yep.
pair them with somebody else that might have seen something similar, and they will just talk.
Yeah.
And I've seen the color come back into people's faces after an afternoon of fishing.
Yeah.
And they
You've
show up
watched
here.
it.
I've watched it happen. They show up here and they're a shell, and you're like, I don't know if this guy's okay.
Yeah.
And then, hey, we take a ride, catch a couple fish, talk a little bit. Oh, hey, how's it going? Glad to have you back,
Yeah. And you know what's great to hear? We hear about it often from the spouses of the
Oh,
hero.
really?
We watch the change. We watch what
Yeah.
you're describing happen. And it's great. It happens all the time here. Daily it happens. But when you hear that wife or that husband of the hero say, I got my husband back. I've got my wife back. I've got my son back. I've got my daughter back. You know that you're making change and that individual is changing in a manner that's going to last. It really is. It's sustainable. Um, Part of the mix that people don't see is Jamie and I have learned through 8 years of doing this how to match people. You
Yeah.
talked about those, like it's tricky, you know. I used to try and overthink it and overcomplicate in my own head the process, but it's important how you match people. Like when we're doing a hunt with four individuals, we really go through their entire history to try and match people because all of the help doesn't come from us.
Right.
It's peer to peer. It's that veteran to that veteran to the first responder to first responder. It happens naturally when you get the groupings right. And we've just learned through a series of questions how to ask the right things that tell us who needs to be with who. And that's where you see this really take place. It's awesome. Yeah, and G and the team here at Camp Freedom, they
Oh,
just
great.
are the guys not great? Is
I
our
mean,
staff, the guys, the girls, is our
they're
staff not great?
respectful, they're so kind, um, and they're really good at solving problems or um, knowing needs before they happen.
Yeah.
And that's just hospitality.
It is. That's such a great word. You know, I really believe that part of the great impact that people receive here is because our staff is just they are trained in hospitality. They
Yeah.
are trained in care, and not even trained. We don't hire somebody where we don't see a high level of potential to embrace mission and to care. You know, at the end of the day, care is first. Care is above everything. Care is central to everything we do.
Sure. And every Friday,
Mm.
we have those care
Yeah,
Fridays.
yeah. First Friday of the month,
Yeah.
we have a care day at Camp Freedom, and that was interesting. I think one of the hardest things over these 8 years. I can't talk without my hands.
That's fine.
One of the
I
one
think
of
your camera is not obstructed by your hands.
all
We're okay.
right, so that's good. One of the things that was really difficult for me was in my mindset. I thought all nonprofits would just want to work together and help each other for the greater cause of the mission. And I really battled for years here trying to get nonprofits to work together. I literally have had other directors of nonprofits, I would say, hey, you can come use our ground. And literally have had more than one look at me and say, well, what do you want? I'm like, I don't want anything. I want to give you access to our ground. I want this used. I want you to benefit. And it was just weird the way the early happenings took place among nonprofits. So we got tired of not working together. So we created a space, Carrot Camp Freedom, first Friday of every month from 9 to 2, I think it is, or 10 to 2, actually it is. And maybe it is 9. I don't know. Should know. I don't know.
We should know.
9 to
Well,
2, 10 to 2, whatever it is,
yeah,
every first
we'll look it
Friday.
up.
It is 10 to 2,
Okay.
and we have this day where we have invited other nonprofits, governmental agencies, for-profit companies, people who care for veterans and first responders, and we bring them here. And we've created a hub of care that started with 3 people showing up that first Friday, and now there's 70, 80, 90, 100 people that show up. And we also have a great partnership with a food bank that is not saying based on need, but is saying if you're a veteran or first responder, we care about you and we want to give you great food. And it's awesome. It's awesome to now work together with all these organizations and companies.
Sure. And you see, I think maybe a sense of competition is an atmosphere of competition exists because you're all battling for funding.
Right.
But funding aside, the focus should be the mission.
Yeah, and again, I know what we do this much, but we do it really well. And I'm proud of that. Like I don't shy away from that. I know the things we do well, but there's all this peripheral care around what we do that's needed that we don't do. And it would take us away from our mission. So we try and find great partners who do all of that care and align with them so that we're giving the best, well-rounded, holistic approach to care that can be given between us and all of our partners because we don't do it all. We can't do it all.
And you also provide an atmosphere that makes people comfortable to maybe talk about issues they're having. Like let's say a veteran comes here and he or she's having an issue with the VA,
Yeah,
but they might be too embarrassed to
yeah,
say, "Well, I've gone this long without doing anything."
yeah,
But then you create the atmosphere where, hey, it's okay to be yourself here. We're only here to help.
yeah,
And then you have, your federal agencies who are here to maybe help them
yeah,
fix that problem
yeah.
with judgment free zone.
And that's really what it is.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of shame a
Yeah.
lot of times in our heroes' lives for all kinds of reasons. You know, it's not simplistic, it's for all kinds of reasons. They know when they come here, they can be who they are. They know they're not gonna get judged in a wrongful way at all. They know that they can find the things they're looking for here. Like, they know it. They really do. And that's why they come. And so it took a while to transfer trust. We had to transfer
Sure.
trust from us to those other organizations, and it took a while, but it happened, and it's magnificent.
But building that trust in the first place is takes a lot of, like you said, care and
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. I think of one individual, Henry Hines, Army veteran, 93 years old. What
He
I
was here
noticed,
yesterday, wasn't
yeah,
he?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I met him at a on a Friday care at Camp Freedom Friday. And I know the first thing I noticed, he has a cane with 50 cal bullets. His whole cane, very unique, is 50 cal bullets. And I started talking to him about that. And we've built a relationship over months now, and months and months, probably more than a year. He comes every first Friday, and his daughter and son-in-law bring him. Sometimes his son, but he loves it here. Like, she was telling me yesterday, his daughter was telling me, like, he wakes up and he's like, "Today's the day. We're ready to go," you know. And so this past week, one of our donors and supporters called me and said, "I want to offer 3 exotic hunts at Camp Freedom for 3 veterans or first responders of your choice." And I was like, "Thank you so much." And the first thing to my mind was Henry Hines, 93 years old, Korean era
Korean.
vet. I was like, "You got to go." And he didn't know. Will he get to hunt again? Will he have an opportunity? Because he's 93. And
How'd you get him? I mean, is so he walks with a cane?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I watched him. So we have breakfast before that care day. We have our breakfast, informational breakfast, and he's there. And I announce in that breakfast, and I said, "Henry," I said, "what are you doing next week?" He's like, "I don't know. I have to check my schedule." And I said, "Well, will you clear your schedule? Because I want to take you on a hunt at Camp Freedom." He's like, "Well, I got to look at my schedule." And his family's laughing because he's serious. He's like, "I've got to make sure I don't have appointments. I don't have
Yeah.
anything." And they're like, "We'll just clear whatever it is, we'll clear it." And yesterday, I got to watch a 93-year-old man who came here for care at Camp Freedom. It has changed into a relationship, which is always central, and not just with me, relationship with the entirety of the staff and with others that come. And I watched a 93-year-old man yesterday be able to take a fallow deer, which is tremendous, but that wasn't what was most important. I watched a 93-year-old man be broken over the opportunity that he was given because he knows we genuinely and sincerely care about him. Just tremendous.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
And it's heroes like that you know, a lot of them aren't with us anymore.
Yeah.
And you want to try to honor them as best you can
Yeah.
while they're here.
Yeah. Our World War II heroes are almost non-existent.
Yeah.
There's handfuls. And then our Vietnam veterans, they're now in their 70s and 80s. Our Korean War 80s and 90s. Those, those generations, they're passing on,
Sure.
and I didn't know how Vietnam veterans in particular would respond to things, because I can, by era, almost define and tell you some major characteristics that are natural to those age groups and to those eras of service. And those guys are private,
Mhm.
and they want to go sit at the Legion. They want to go just, keep to themselves a lot. But man, the response from our Vietnam veterans here is unbelievable. They come in droves. They love it here. And I think they love it here because they know it's safe.
Yeah.
Like, they know we're not going to press, we're not going to push, we're not going to do anything. And then to watch a guy from that era or a lady from that era receive care, because there's a lot of pride, in that era, that sometimes there's a great sense of pride, but sometimes pride also keeps us from wanting to receive care. Like, even yesterday, Henry saying, "I got to do more. I got to do more." And I'm like, "You don't have to do anything. This is a gift for you, provided by a donor who loves Camp Freedom and loves you, even though they don't know you. This is a gift. You don't have to do anything." But to hear his pride of wanting to give back and serve is awesome. It's awesome. And I see that with, from Vietnam upward. I see that often. And it's not that I don't see it with our younger veterans. I do. It just looks different. It just looks
Sure.
different.
Yeah. Different culture, different
Yep.
society at the
Yep.
time. And what do you think could, moving forward, what do you think you see the future of Camp Freedom?
Yeah. I
We're
really,
growing.
yeah, we're growing. Again, I can't believe we had over 4,000 guests last year. When I look back to the beginning, our first year, we had 49 guests. I was thrilled. I was beyond because numbers matter, but they
And when
don't
you say
matter.
guests, you mean they stay overnight in the lodge or
No,
they
just
just
it
come?
can be a day guest, can be an overnight, can be either, but it's a disabled veteran, disabled first responder, their family, Gold Star or Gold Shield family. That's our guests. That's what we label as guests. So
Okay.
we had 49 guests that first year, and I was thrilled. And I watched lives be radically changed. I'm talking, I knew in the very first encounter, the first guest that came, I knew we were on to something special. Like I watched it happen. It's like you saying that
Yeah.
that fishing event where you saw color come back in. I watched it happen. And I was just like, I can't believe it. This is going to be awesome. And the numbers from there went from 49 to 700 to 1400 to 2100 to 2800 to 3000 to 3300 and now to 4000. Numbers matter, but they don't matter as much as care. We will only grow at a level that I know we can maintain excellence of care. If the numbers start affecting the level of excellence of care, we'll slow the numbers down because care is all that matters. And
Yeah.
so that dictates. But as I look to the future, we're at like where I thought we'd be at 20 years, honestly, not in 8 years. It has grown so fast. And between our staff, our support, our board, and really highly important, 42,000 hours of volunteers. Our volunteers are special. They are not like volunteers that I see other places, and I'm not knocking anywhere. Our volunteers are they're invested, like they're all in. I watch a volunteer go from I'll help to an event to this is my lifestyle. Like literally, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And and you're going to interview one of those guys, coming up, who
Sure.
started as a volunteer.
Well, and it's also that sense of purpose,
It
whether
is,
they were in the service or a first
yeah,
responder
yeah.
or in the private sector for something, people find a purpose here.
Yeah, they do. And you find it whether you're volunteering, whether you're serving, whether you're here as a guest, you find purpose. When you work here, you find purpose. You just do. But as I look to the future, it's bright. It's so bright. Like, I mean, we're going to build an event, education, and lodge center. Because really the hindrance with this building is I can only sleep 5 guests at a time.
Yeah.
And extended stays, it's simple. The longer you spend with somebody, the more impact that has had. And so extended stays need to be our bread and butter, but it's difficult because we have 2 bedrooms, a shared bathroom. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
It's just not ideal. You can't do that with a Gold Star family comfortably. Like it's just not. They need their respite. They need their place to pull away, which our Gold Star cabin and Gold Shield cabin is almost done. We're weeks away from launching that, and that'll give those families a place for respite. But as I look to the future and I look to that lodge, big endeavor, 70,000 plus square feet. I'm going to have to raise a lot of funds. We're going to have to raise a lot of funds to do that. But the reality is, I know already because of what we've done in 8 years, I know what it will translate to. I know the amount of lives that will be impacted. I know how they will be impacted. I know how these heroes will find mission, purpose, and hope. And so I look to the future and it's bright. Programming will always be programming. We're going to do the same things we do. We'll expand it. We're always expanding opportunity, but the bread and butter is love, honor, value. And we're just going to do that in a larger facility where more people get to experience it. Like that's the future. That's what's in front of us. We expand endlessly. Sometimes I'm really my worst enemy. I'm like, okay, things are calm. Everything's working great. Oh, let's do this. Let's do this.
Just pile it
Yeah, let's
on.
do this. And you got to watch that because I also am concerned always about the health of our staff. Our staff constantly, and you're starting to get exposed to it now. You hear often people's worst scenarios over and over and
Right.
over again. And we have to make sure that our minds are resilient and strong and able to handle the horrific stories that we hear. So we make sure we're equipped. We make sure we're helping each other and caring for each other. This is a job like no other job. This becomes family. It just, you have to. I mean, we go through some really difficult scenarios together as people are struggling through their trauma, their traumatic experiences and their transitional issues, getting out of service. It's tough. And so
Yeah.
we got to make sure we're all caring for each other. It's unique.
Yeah. But I think you guys do a great job.
We
Yeah, we.
we do a great job. It's
We do
new.
a
It's
great
new
job.
yet. We
I'm
do a
on the
great job.
team. I'm
We
on the
there it
team.
is. There it is verified.
Yeah.
But really it is the staff. And again, some of that is me. I've had to learn some things. Kelly and I are horrible at self-care. Like we're horrible. Like we don't stop. We go endlessly. We never stop. And what I,
Forget to eat,
yeah.
forget to do
Oh yeah.
this.
Constantly. And what I didn't realize early on, the first 2 or 3 years here, is even though I never required people to do the hours we were doing, they felt like they had to. They didn't express that, but they felt like they had to do what we were doing. And so what I recognized is, man, I'm going to burn people out. Like I'm going to just burn people out, and that's not good. So that's when we shifted to a Monday to Friday. Like we had to put parameters. We
Yeah.
were open all the time. We never closed, and it was crazy because it just was constant. And I was like, this is really unhealthy. And so we had to put some parameters in place for hours and for care. And it's improved everything. And it's really brought a healthy, strong staff to fruition. Like our staff is, man, healthy, awesome. Everybody understands care. Everybody understands care. Our volunteers understand care. And our ambassador program that Jamie brought to the table, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago now, like we don't just have people come on a hunt and then they're done. We stay in touch with them. There is a commitment from one individual to one individual, from one volunteer or former guest or staff member for 1 year to that single guest. Commitment to stay engaged for a year. And that's why that care, and that usually ends up being a much longer relationship. So we stay engaged.
Well, and that's also something that I wanted to help you guys accomplish with this podcast.
Yeah.
So, hey, you leave camp, but you want to stay connected. Well, here's the people
This is
coming
it.
through camp.
Yeah.
Listen to their conversations while you're mowing the lawn or
Yeah.
hanging out at home. Put the YouTube on TV and tune in and see who's visiting camp and what their story is and how you can connect with them, or find out about ways you can come back to visit camp.
Yeah. I'm honored that I'm your first guest.
Oh, well,
But
obviously.
but no, yeah, but you know what though? I will be the least important guest you'll ever have. And that's the truth. Like I am so excited for people to hear the stories of hope that you're going to get to experience, that you're going to get to share, that you're going to get to participate. I'm so excited for our supporters and donors to sit right here and tell why they participate, why they help. It will all be so much more important than the things I'm sharing. We're just part of the machine. We're moving the machine. You know what I mean? We have
We're
the
giving some
vision.
background.
Yeah,
We gotta
yeah,
let people
yeah.
know what we're about before we step forward.
Absolutely. But really, what you're going to get to experience right here in this room is going to be life-changing for you. I know it because I've sat with these individuals. I've sat and heard their hearts, and you're going to get to experience that, and I'm so excited about it.
Well, I'm very grateful for the opportunity. You know, when you make a big transition in your life and things change all around you and the stakes are high when you're still trying to find purpose, um, I'm so happy to have landed here and to be a part of this. It feels more than worthwhile. It feels like a mission that I was meant to do.
Yeah, and I believe it. I
Yeah.
believe it was designed. I believe in no accidents, in no mistakes. We make mistakes and we experience accidents, but I believe that this is the time and this is the place that you're to be, to do what we're doing here. And you're going to be involved directly. You already have been. You're going to be involved at a level you've never experienced of not just doing a podcast, but of changing lives. And that's going to be rewarding beyond maybe anything you've ever experienced in your life. And I can only tell you that because I've walked it for 8 years. It's awesome.
It feels like a lot of pressure. I'm going to do
Yeah.
my best.
Yeah.
I
No
hope I do it.
pressure.
I hope I do it justice and what it deserves.
Just be you. That's all you got to do. Just be you and it'll happen. It'll be great.
Okay. Anything else you want to say? You think we should wrap up our first episode? 45 minutes?
I don't know. I'll talk forever, but I think we've hit, I think we've hit major points. I think we've covered the gist of what's going on here and who we are and what we are. I want to always voice that we always have room for more volunteers.
Yeah.
We always have room for more material support, items of support. We always have room for financial support, because one thing that's awesome is everything we do for our veterans and first responders is free. Everything, which
Yep.
means we have to raise the money for them to experience those free things. So we always need support so that these heroes get the experiences they do. And that's a big deal. It's important. This
So-
doesn't operate without money.
Right. So if you want to sponsor this podcast,
Very good.
oh, we can weave in some messages
We need
here.
that.
We don't have sponsors
We need
yet,
that.
but you could have been a part of this conversation. No.
That's true story. That's true story.
You could be a part of changing lives too, for real.
Yeah, legit. legit. The other thing that I'm really proud of is when it comes to money, unfortunately, in the nonprofit space, a lot of people have not spent money correctly, have not been wise as organizations with how they manage their money. In 8 years, our administrative costs have been at the lowest 2% and at the highest only 5.7%. That is unheard of when you own ground and when you own equipment. It is unheard of to be able
Especially
to do that.
equipment.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot going
A
on
lot
out
of
there.
cost and a lot of need for employees to be able to run it and manage it and do the ground. And even with all of that, 5.7%. So that translates to 94.3 cents of every dollar goes right to the mission for an organization that has ground and has $1 million of equipment. And we're still that lean. It's unheard of. It's just unheard of. And I'm very proud of that fact.
I
I
think a
love
lot
it.
of that has to do with volunteers.
It is. It is.
And it speaks to how much people are connected to the mission and how important it is.
Yeah. Think about this. 8 years, 42,211 hours by volunteers. And that's without January, February, and March. Those numbers are just being calculated now. 42,000 hours of volunteers. That's the only reason we can have the numbers we have. It is. The volunteers give us the support pieces we need to do what we need at the level we need with the lesser costs because of them donating their time. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Huge.
Awesome.
And they donate their labor and their minds and their body and their experience.
And often their money.
Fly fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You got.
That's what I think of the most. We
I
just
know
went trout fishing on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I think about like, Greg brought out his flies.
Yep.
He was like, "Oh, I've been tying these flies since I was 8 years old." I'm like, "And you're bringing them out here like these belong in a museum or something. You're bringing them out here and just willy-nilly bringing them and using them out in the river here." But
Yeah, and I know Doc LaBarba's he's had a great impact on you.
Oh, yeah.
I know that.
we go way back.
He is a gem of all gems.
Yeah.
But when I think of volunteers, I think of Tom. And you brought up fishing. I think of Tom and I think of Doc and I think of Ed. And then I think of the greater scale outside of fishing. I think of guys like Joe Wahai and I think of Jim Kuzmak, who you're going to have on your show. And you'll need to have Joe on too. These are first responders, but man, they volunteer here because they understand. They get
they
it.
volunteer to go into danger. These are guys who also are volunteer firefighters in some cases.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I can just go down the list of volunteers and really they are the core of what we do. They are.
Yeah. Anyway, awesome. Here we go. And break.
Perfect.
I don't know how to end it. How should we end it?
I don't know.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. This is our first ever episode of Camp Conversations with Chelsea. I'm your host, Chelsea Bresnahan. We'll see you next time.